All right, how's it going, gentlemen? Welcome again to another episode of the world famous Mountaintop Podcast. I am your host, Scott McKay, and today we're going to talk about a subject that I really think I've just consciously avoided because people who are like this suck. Literally, they're emotional vampires. My guest is already laughing. It's funny because I thought of them sucking and then made the vampire analogy mid-sentence saying, hey, that was a pretty good way to put it. Today, what's going to happen is if you have ever had an emotional vampire in your life, either it was a hot chick who sucked the life out of you, not in the good way, or
it was a good way.
A bad way. Maybe we'll talk about that.
Both ways,
the
right?
good way is probably fair game around here as well. But enough about me. What we have else going on here is, even in your workplace, in your social circle,
sure,
a lot of people can come around and really just be, emotional vampires. This is an indispensable episode for every guy who listens to it, and you don't want to miss a single word of it. With me today is my guest. His name is Coach Ratner, Daniel Ratner.
That's right.
He hails from Jerusalem. And he's originally from the United States, so he's made Aliyah, which is pretty impressive.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about emotional vampires. Coach Ratner, welcome, man.
Thank you for having me, Scott. It's great to be here today.
Yeah, we're going to have a blast talking about this.
I think we
First of all,
excited.
You're obviously Jewish, and you're talking about vampires.
Yes.
And we have some educated guys who've been around the block, and they're probably thinking to themselves, wait a minute, the whole vampire thing is a blatantly anti-Semitic trope, but you're just having some Mel Brooksian fun with this, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, the idea is that we have people in our lives that drain us of energy, and I, and you have to protect your happiness. There's the reason I this book came out and this whole concept came out because I teach a lot about relationships. My passion in life is to make loving relationships that last a lifetime, not hookups. Not one-nighters, which, if you're good at relationships, you can have plenty of those anyway, if you choose. But it's really to make marriages that last forever, because no one has any idea what they're doing when they get married. Most people spend more time learning how to get a driver's license than what it takes to be in a great marriage. And that's what I teach. And so out of that has morphed self-esteem issues and emotional vampire issues with not just your wife or your husband, but also with family members and coworkers and friends. And so we decided, my wife, she's brilliant, and she came with the idea. The whole purpose for the book is to find keepers, the people in your life that bring you happiness.
Well, back to the question of the whole vampire thing being an anti-Semitic trope, really vampires are the only way to put it.
Yes.
Regardless of the history of vampiredom. Yes, exactly. Now, every time I've ever heard about emotional vampires, it seems like, kind of as a sidecar to that conversation is always covert narcissism, aka vulnerable narcissism, which I don't understand that nomenclature. But this is a strange state where someone is a narcissist, but they control by weakness instead of like obvious dominating power. So this person is all about themselves. It's all about what they need. So they're needy.
Yes.
They don't really care about your time.
Nope.
They will text you demanding an answer at midnight on a Tuesday and go, well, if you don't love me anymore, I guess that's why you didn't answer me. So, I won't bother you ever again. I'm sorry. Because it's just like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, that comes from really, really low self-esteem. And they have
but they're also texting me at freaking 12:30 in the morning on a Tuesday.
Right. And narcissism, by
more complicated.
I just want to say narcissism is the worst of the emotional vampires. And you could obviously write whole books on it. And I didn't. I wrote a chapter on it because it's a big deal. It's the largest chapter. But there are many other ones. By the way, there are many people who have narcissist personality disorder, which is a full-blown thing, NPD. And those people will probably never get help, and they'll probably never admit it. Yes. And you have many people, including probably even sometimes in my life, that we have narcissistic personality disorder, which means we have tendencies of narcissism, not the full-blown thing, just tendencies. I think it's made its way into the world because of social media. We become more self-absorbed. And so it's not good for relationships.
And this compounds this whole conceptualization of social media into our real lives.
Yes.
Because social media isn't real life, obviously, but we're so
No, it's
addicted
not.
to it that we're pretending it's our real life. We're living
Yeah.
vicariously through ourselves of sorts.
Sure. Yep.
So I've seen this talked about in terms of women. Well, here's a great example. Part of the demise of dark, smoky disco clubs in most of the world. I mean, if you're in a big enough party town like a Rio or a Miami or an LA or New York, they're still
Yes.
there. But
Yes.
they have died a cruel death in places like San Antonio. And one of the reasons given, other than, people just don't smoke anymore, or, so many people have moved to the Sun Belt, so why don't we just stay outside instead of being cooped up in some dark place? People are sick of yelling at each other. The younger generation isn't drinking as much, which is another whole can of worms. But one of the big contributors of it is women don't have to go out on Saturday night to be seen anymore.
Nope.
They just get an OnlyFans account, and man, it's just 10x'd at least.
Yeah.
Plus, they
Attention.
get paid for it instead of having to go out and hope they're there on ladies' night. Some guy buy them a drink. So really, social media is in many ways replacing real, actual interaction between people. I mean, COVID didn't help, obviously, but what that did was make it all about the self. I'm sitting here by myself, especially during lockdown, as if this wasn't already going on, probably since the conspicuous consumption era of the early 80s, right? It's always been towards selfhood. I mean, there was a magazine called Self back in the 80s.
There
It was
was.
wildly popular. Yes. So, what you're talking about is how we've been trained. We've been trained to make ourselves narcissists. Relationships transactional. What is in it for me? What's the whiffle?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you know that OnlyFans, I was told this today, has more revenue than the NBA? Which I believe.
They also have prettier contestants.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at a whole lot of NBA players' feet lately, so
of course. Yeah.
I may be wrong about that, but educated guess.
Narcissism is just one of the categories that I list in my book.
Yes.
And the reason there's many different categories of people that drain us of energy. And some of them are the perpetual victim, the drama queen, the socially awkward, emotional constipation, people who are emotionally constipated. But one big one is parents, siblings, and in-laws. We have that drain us of energy also. And that's a whole different category because we have a different relationship with them. And I tell people, you might be best friends with your mom if she wasn't your mom.
That's a Jewish stereotype too.
Right. And the
family
thing is,
draining you of your energy when you're a Jewish person.
And when you think about our friends in our life, most of our friends have either come from circumstance or event. We actually didn't pick our friends. And as you get older, as you know, because you're my age, you probably have less friends now than you did 30, 40 years ago. And that's probably because you're more careful about who you allow into your life. And you realize we have limited time left. And you know what? This person drains me of energy. I don't want them in my life. And so in the book that we do, it's called a friend audit. I go ask questions. Do you have to have this person in your life? And obviously you want your mom or your brother or your sister in your life. And one of the keys to that is to make that relationship healthy. And that means redefining the word healthy.
And all this time I thought it was because I've become a cranky old codger.
I'm cranky also. I'm so cranky now. I don't I talk about boundaries. One of my new boundaries in life is I get invited to a lot of weddings here in Jerusalem. I don't like eating dinner at 11 o'clock at night, and I don't like loud music, right? So all the weddings are too loud. I have to walk outside, and the food comes at 11. It's ridiculous. I'm not eating 11 o'clock, and I get home at midnight. So I tell all my students, I'm going to come to your wedding. I'm going to come to the chuppah. I'm going to come to the nuptials, but I'm leaving after that. And my daughters say, Daddy, aren't you to come to my? I'm like, no, I'm coming to the nuptials, and that's it.
That's the fun part.
I'm kidding about that, but I have to put a boundary around my happiness. I have to protect myself, and I have a whole bunch of boundaries I talk about in the book that I protect myself from, things that don't make me happy.
Well, let's talk about the different categories of emotional vampiredom.
Sure.
Because I really do very often hear it associated with this victimhood that is in turn associated with the covert narcissism. But the N word is so much in the zeitgeist nowadays.
I know. And I don't want to overuse it, but there's a lot of categories. I have 12 categories I used. One is nonstop talkers. These are people who just can't stop talking. and you know what I'm talking about, right?
I might resemble that remark, actually.
Yeah. By the way, many of us could be some of these, and they're not all dangerous. Not like the narcissist. One is the
Nice save there. Good catch. Yeah.
right. They're not all dangerous. One I like is the drama queen. Now I like being drama adjacent. I like people who are dramatic. I don't want to be married to one, but I like them in my life because they're exciting. But they can drain you of energy. One are the overly dependent, the second guessers. Those are the people you sit in a restaurant for 20 minutes trying to order something, and then they find the order, they wish they'd ordered something else, right? They can drain you of energy. Boundary invaders. These are people that look at your relationship different than they do. And this is more common when you have a man and woman who are friends. And the women like being friends with men because the men aren't judging them on their purses or their dress. And they like the attention because it means they're being validated as a person. But the men eventually want to sleep with them. That's usually what happens.
The high maintenance variety.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then you have overly dependent, I mentioned. And I also added in this book also teenagers and the
In
terrible
general.
too. In general, teenagers drain you of energy, yes. And you have to know how to manage them.
I would say teenage daughters drain you of energy. Teenage sons like to just disappear and go, I'm good.
Well, with the issues, one of the things I mentioned that like I learned from my psychologist that all teenagers are like brain damaged. You have to look at them as brain damaged in their early 20s.
And deaf.
Yeah, well, deaf too, right?
Yeah, if you go, hey, you over there, what's up? They'll go, huh? What? No matter what you ask a teenager, the answer is going to be what?
What?
Always.
Here's the thing with teenagers, and I hate to make it simple, but the thing as a parent is that you want to keep that line of communication open. And when you criticize, in my book Sunscreen Live, I'm all about criticism and compliments. Like criticizing kids doesn't really do a lot of good. And understanding parenting is important, but like keeping that line open. It's better if your kid is smoking pot behind the junior high school and has a relationship with you than him smoking pot behind the high school and not having a relationship with you. Because what happens is when they get to be 20, 21, 22 years old, they're going to come back into your fold and start listening to you and emulating you. And it's when you lose that, when they don't want you anymore in your life, that's the worst, you know?
It's kind of like customer service. As long as the customer is complaining and upset, they're still with you. It's when you don't hear from them anymore, they're gone. And that's
sure. You want them to, you want your kid if your kid says, I hate you, it means there's still a relationship.
You bet.
It's when they say, I don't want you anymore, I don't need you anymore. That's called the parenting paradox. Because a parent, we want two things. We want them to be independent, emotionally healthy kids, that they don't need you anymore, but we want them to also need us. So that's why it's a paradox.
You bring up something very interesting, and I'm going to go there.
Let's go, baby. You're not baby, not baby. Like, I mean, a term of endearment, baby.
Oh, I hear you, man. I hear you, babe. You know, we'll go full on Hollywood producer. Okay. All right. So basically, I've noticed that the longer a kid stays at home with their mommy and daddy, hasn't gone through that rite of passage to man up and get their own place and go make their own way in the world, the more likely they are to become an emotional vampire.
The more likely to stay at home.
Well, the longer they stay at home, like past age 18, 21, you know, I mean, extended homestay after it's time they should have been kicked out of the nest. Sure. You know, they're adult age and still not adulting. They're still living at home with mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Maybe not even getting a job. The classic stereotype of Cheeto fingers in video games.
Sure.
The longer that's allowed to happen, the greater the likelihood the kid, who that's what I'm still going to call them, is going to be an emotional vampire.
That category would be called the overly dependent. They're always
overly dependent, indeed.
They're they're needy and always need someone to help them, and they need mom and dad to help them. If they want to get a car, they need them to get a car, and they're not. And that again is not my goal as a parent. I want to raise independent, healthy, happy kids.
Well, let's go back to the narcissism again, not to belabor it, but what kind of parent wants their kid around till they're 40? Obviously one who's getting their own needs met.
Sure.
By it.
And I always say, if you want to have kids to do the laundry and to wash the car and to clean the floor, hire a maid. It's a lot cheaper.
Well, I think some of these moms, like especially single moms, they don't want to be lonely. They don't want to feel unneeded anymore. They want someone to cook for, someone to do the laundry for.
My mom did not want me. my father had died in 1985. My mom did not want me to move out of the house. I was 21 years old. She got mad at me for moving out of the house. I
Yeah.
couldn't stand it. It
Well,
wasn't healthy for me. It was not healthy for me to be at home with my mom. I love my mom. She was great, but it was not healthy for me. And I have to make boundaries in my life.
well, she probably figured that out before you were, say, 35.
Yeah.
But I mean, I see this happening, and that's really a pointer towards full-blown NPD, or at least the tendencies being genetic. I mean, whole
Yeah.
families full of narcissists. You have the kids who have been scapegoat syndromed. Like, I'm the kid on whom everybody unloaded all the blame. I
Sure.
was the lightning rod. I was the one
I know one. I know
kept in
one.
the
It's so
closet and fed
horrible.
under the door, and
I have
now
one.
poor me, my entire life is star-crossed because of how I was raised.
I have
That's
a
still narcissistic.
I have a woman in my life who I help coach. She's friends of our family, and she is in her 40s, beautiful. She's been divorced, and she can't get over the fact that one of her parents was dysfunctional. And
Mm.
one of the cures to low self-esteem and also becoming a happy person is to forgive the source of your unhappiness, your low self-esteem. And she's having a hard time doing it. She can't forgive them. She's in her 40s, and this is gonna be an ongoing thing. This is not gonna end until you can forgive them.
Well, the way I've always put it is, the longer you let that person have control over your life, the longer you're letting them win. And that's the person who least deserves having that much power over your life.
It's not even about winning and losing. I hate to say it. It's about yourself letting go of the pain. And you might lose. Okay, they won. Let them win, but let me get them out of my life and let me move on to my life so I can have a healthy relationship and live with strong self-esteem and be emotionally healthy.
Well, I deal with a lot of guys who think of everything as a competition, so perhaps I've let that slip into the vernacular. But
I
really,
don't I
you're
don't
right.
I don't care
It's all
anymore.
about
Like even
it's about getting your power back. Because if I'm letting this person ruin my life, that's what they want. They think it's hilarious. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this is, if anybody's victimized you, say someone was predatory when you were a child and you still can't have a healthy relationship because you were diddled as a child. Well, as long as you let that person have that kind of dominion over your ability to have a happy relationship, you're giving that person superpowers over your life they just don't deserve.
No. I always say you should never let another person ruin your day. And you have to learn to let go and live your own life and protect. And boundaries are the key issue. Putting up your boundaries in your life. And most people don't have the strength to do that.
Yeah.
And I try to give my students, I was teaching today about 30 girls, mostly in their early 30s, early 20s. And
Sounds
they're all
terrible.
single.
Sounds like an absolutely awful
I have to
experience.
tell you, it's very fun. I teach a lot of seminaries here in Jerusalem, and they're all like, and they're all, of course, they're all beautiful and like young, and they all want to get married, and
They've all been in the military, so they're not shrinking violets.
right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, some of them have low self-esteem, and I tell them you have to have strength. I tell them your body is an altar, and not everyone deserves to bow down to it.
Or even worship it.
Yeah. So because they
Let them
confuse.
worship from afar.
Sure. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think a lot of guys in particular will tolerate an emotional vampire as a girlfriend or someone
Yes.
they're
It's
dating.
here's the issue.
More than a woman will.
Well, a woman will date a guy who what I call one of the I have two categories that are interesting. One's called socially awkward. These are people that might be on the spectrum or might be on the spectrum of having Asperger's, and they're the guy sitting in the corner of a bar with a drink, and their first conversation with the girl is like their top 10 Dungeons and Dragons games, and they have a hard time interacting socially. And they can be very nice people, and they can be very successful. These are some of the people, when I went to high school in the 1970s, we called the geeks and the computer nerds, right?
Right.
And no one would sit with them at the cafeteria table. But
And
now
to clarify,
guys,
you're slotting them as a category of emotional vampire here.
yes. But those people are now called Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, they're geeks, right? And they can drain you of energy. And the thing is, some of them might have social, what I call emotional constipation, especially Asperger's, where they have a hard time opening up emotionally. They can't share their feelings, and they have a hard time taking other people's feelings in, which means they need to be what I teach these women is like, you want to find an empath, someone who's empathic, someone who can say, I'm sorry, someone who can say, I forgive you, I love you. These are words that sometimes are hard to say for some people. To say, like, the thank God we have the president we do now, but like he's a huge narcissist. Like the president of the United States, great. I'm happy for him, but like, you know, he never says, I forgive you. I made a mistake, or I'm sorry. He doesn't say those words. And you don't want to be married
I've heard
to
him
one
say
of those.
lately, though, that he's changed. Unapologetically.
I don't know.
He will admit he's evolving.
Yeah, he is evolving, and you know, I'm happy he's president, but I don't want to be married to him. Right?
Oh no, goodness! And I don't think even his wife wants to be married to him. I think
she does not want to be
it's the
married to him, for
definition of
sure.
a transactional relationship, and I think that's something non-billionaires probably don't understand as fully as they do.
Right.
Two things there. First of all, I think every president of the United States going forward will have to be a narcissist to survive.
I have to think that you're probably correct.
I mean, how else? I mean, you have to.
I mean, I don't know how anyone can run for that office. It is just unbelievable how much stress they have to go through. You have to really want to like, and this is the problem. I mean, this is the problem in politics that, you know, I don't think Roosevelt would have ever been elected in today's social media landscape in a wheelchair, right?
Well, I think Teddy would have. Teddy was a badass.
Oh yeah,
Teddy would have been a social media darling.
Yes.
Until you know who definitely would not have had a successful presidency at all was LBJ. LBJ was a jerk. LBJ was as an asshole. I mean, that guy would have made Donald Trump look like a choir boy on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? You were talking about men and geekdom. And a lot of guys are very proud of that. But I mean, you know, one of the reasons why I was laughing under my breath, not to interrupt you, was that I get a lot of guys who come to me who don't really understand why talking about Dungeons and Dragons or superhero movies, et cetera, isn't interesting to the woman they're in front of on a date. And this intersects with a conversation that's come up a lot lately about this long erudite word, alexithymia.
I don't know this word.
This is, you know, an APA term where men in particular, you know, this makes it, I guess, Asperger's adjacent is one way I put it in another show.
I like that, Asperger's adjacent.
You know, who knows? You know, we don't understand the human mind yet, which pisses us off because we think we should figure this out yet. But it remains the black monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey to try to figure this out. But alexithymia is men not even understanding their emotions or why what they're feeling or why. They don't get it. They're just like, okay, turn this into logic because it's uncomfortable. Quick. And this is something that women just can't abide. They don't understand that.
I really want to give you an answer for this because this has happened to me in my life. So what happens is we host a lot of meals at our house, and occasionally we'll get students to come over. And one time I had a student come in from my house, and he said, I have Asperger's. He told me up front. And he became a regular guest at our house. He was engaging. He was slightly off, but he was engaging and enjoyable. And the reason why, he knew he had a social issue. And he dealt with it with a therapist, and he knew how to ask questions. He knew, and so he was enjoyable. And I had people come to my house.
And he warned you, and he owned it.
And he owned it, but he understood how to manage it. I had another student came to my house a lot. Again, he wasn't my favorite student, but every time he'd come to my house, he'd ask me, hey, coach, how's your family? How's your wife? How's the dog? How's your son? He did the same questions. And after a while, I was like, you know what? He has Asperger's or the spectrum, and he's practiced how to engage with people in a normal way. Was he my favorite guest? No, he wasn't. But he wasn't what I call weird. He wasn't a weirdo, right? But I get people who come to my house who have no idea that they're socially awkward. And next thing you know, you're having this argument about almond milk and like, or like they start these weird conversations and they don't understand jokes. They don't understand, you know, how to talk to girls. Like they're just so, and I say, and by the way, men are diagnosed with Asperger's 4 times as many as women. So it's more of a man issue than a woman issue. And if you're a single woman, I hate to say, especially a Jewish woman, and you're in your mid-20s going to singles events, and you see all these guys there and they're just socially awkward. Not all Jews. I could be in the non-Jewish world also, but like it's just a thing with men. And the guys, a lot of these guys who are in their 40s and 50s and still single are probably just weirdos. I hate to say it. And the thing is, I think if you admit you're a weirdo and you get some help and you understand how to engage people, that you can be somewhat normal and get into a relationship.
Well, I agree. And the first step the first step to any self-improvement is to admit there's a problem.
And recognize it, right.
Right. I've always said, and I haven't said it enough lately on this show, that the worst fault anybody can ever have is to be uncoachable and unteachable, because then you're stuck with all your faults for the rest of your life.
Well, that's NPD. Narcissists, the worst, they cannot ever admit that they're a narcissist.
Well, of course, because that would be contrary to being a narcissist. You know,
that's right. It's true. Right.
Going back to how men will put up with this, I think a lot of guys think it's cute when women are really needy, or they call you all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Or they're like, you know, all the girls on the East Coast would call me squat. You know, I always loved how they called me squat. And they go, but squat, I want this and I need that. And I'm like, oh, isn't that so cute? And I'd fall for it. And the next thing you know, this
draining
little chick of mine. Oh yeah, man. Oh, you bet.
It's draining. It's draining.
I thought you said they're training me.
No, they're draining you. No, they're
both
training and draining.
Training and draining. Hey, you can, if you don't take that and run with it and trademark it, I'm going to. Because training and draining could be my next Tuesday morning podcast.
I have a lot of zingers. I call zingers. I have a lot of them in my books.
Well, you know, I think a lot more guys will put up with this from women because they think that's just how women are. They're drama queens.
Yes.
They're consumptive of your time. They don't have any boundaries.
Yeah.
But, you know, at least she'll have sex with me and she looks cute when I take her places. And, you know, that dependence on me feeds our masculine sense of providing and protecting. And then one day we wake up and go, I'm being completely taken advantage of here.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for anything else in my life because this chickie babe is consuming it all. It's all consumptive.
No, it's okay to be taken advantage of as long as you're doing because you want you. Because I talk about in my book, like that, not this book, a different book, Sunscreen Love, the feeling of being in love and the definition of love. And the feeling of being in love is wanting to give without getting anything in return, which means when you're in a great relationship with a girl, you want to give to them. You want to make them coffee. You want to do things for them, right? The problem is when they're asking, always needing you. It's not like I give my wife all the time. I got to make her dinner tonight. Like I do because I want to. But if she started, are you going to make dinner? Can you give me a couple? It'd be a different thing. I do it because we have a good relationship. I understand her needs, which is attention, affection, appreciation, and awareness, and she understands my needs, which is respect. Because I don't need to be loved. I need to be respected. Obviously, men are very simple. We're actually not complicated people. It's funny. I was on a podcast last week with a PhD psychologist, and they're all divorced women in their 50s. They all start these podcasts. I don't know if you know this, but like I'm getting all these podcasts of divorced women in their 50s or PhDs, and I tell them men are simple creatures. We need three things: we need food, we need sex, and we need respect, and everything else is a bonus. And she goes, "You make marriage so simple." I go, "It's not complicated. You're making it complicated."
Well, there aren't a whole lot of women who want to respect a guy anymore.
No, that's an issue.
It's part of the war on the family, frankly.
No, if you can't respect it, I tell women who are dating and they ask me, should I marry this guy? I'm like, do you respect them? If they hesitate or look away, there's an issue.
Of course. Well, a lot of men have been taught that women are basically all just Satan. They're all just out to, well, not only be emotional vampires, but literally suck you dry financially, emotionally, materially. And so, you know, you're just better off drowning in porn and getting an AI girlfriend and letting them go stew in their own juice. And again, it's all war on the family stuff.
Right. Here's the problem that they're finding that men who are over 30 who are not married have a significant increase in suicide, drug abuse, alcoholism.
Of course, it's a lie.
Yeah, but women.
That's why you and I are here, man.
But women don't have that. Women don't have that suicide, drug abuse. They don't seem to be doing that. Men are.
They threaten it more often. But
yeah, I'm trying to
especially the emotional vampires. If you don't give this to me, I'm going to kill myself, and it'll be your fault. That's boy, is that a classic emotional vampires.
It's in my book. I had a girl I was dating back, a long time ago, who threatened suicide with me. In fact, I had to call Montgomery County Police, Maryland, because she was on the side of the road threatening to kill herself. And then she was calling me every minute. This is probably the 90s. I don't know. It was the 1990s. I had to literally go to the beach and turn my phone off for like a week. She was unbelievable.
You know, you talked about making coffee for each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is going to sound tangential, but I think it's very much related. And certainly, I believe, an original thought. I'm sure there's 5 guys who've written about it on Substack and Medium, and I just haven't gotten there yet. But obviously, I'm drinking coffee because this is one of those rare morning podcasts. I usually do them in the afternoon because I'm more perky. But you perked me up quite well, as you know, we're both drinking our coffee, although it's
Oh
dinner
yeah,
time where you're at.
yeah.
Another Jewish thing, round the clock coffee.
I do
For
drink
sure.
coffee. I'll drink coffee at night. I do.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think a Keurig machine is narcissist. I think it would not have existed 40 years ago.
Why do you say
Because
that?
the whole idea of making a pot of coffee is to share it with someone.
Oh, sure, but that's if you have other people drinking coffee in the house.
Right.
When I say we make my wife coffee, she doesn't drink coffee. She wants the first sip. So I
Well, then
make
the
the
Keurig
coffee.
would work fine. Yeah.
Right. I bring her the coffee. She takes the first sip, and then she gives it back to me. She doesn't want it anymore because the first sip's like the best sip. Right. It's hot, and so. But no, I used to have. When I had roommates, when I was single, I had a coffee machine I make for the whole house. I love fresh
Yeah.
coffee. I'd rather have that, but it's hard to make single thing coffees when you with a
Well,
fresh grinder.
coffee is meant to be social, I think. I mean, you know, maybe I'm off on a tangent. Maybe I'm off on a limb here. But I think there's more single serving portions of a lot nowadays
Yes.
because that's where we are as a
Yeah.
society.
That's actually I never really thought about that as an idea, that the fact that we have, Green Mountain Coffee, all these companies are very successful at doing single serves and also single
Yeah.
serve meals.
Of
Think about,
course.
go to Whole Foods, all these single, I mean, I'm thinking of these single serve meals,
Yes, you bet. Yeah, and you know, enough people are health conscious now that they're not going to eat, you know, prepackaged crap. But I mean, the first thing you're confronted with, and that's the correct word, when I go to my local supermarket, is what they call Meal Simple at HEB, which is our local chain, and it's for people who want to eat correctly, but there's nobody else to feed but themselves. It's a
Yeah.
pre-made meal, $7, price
Yeah.
Subway, but it isn't crap. You know, it's
Right.
salmon with green beans or something.
Right. They have,
Oh, yeah,
they
absolutely.
also have fresh, they have most of these grocery stores that have fresh delis. You get fresh meat, fresh salmon, fresh cooked. You can buy your dinner every night there.
So how do we keep emotional vampires from sucking us dry, Coach?
Okay, so
I
here's
mean,
what we
you
do.
know, we first of all, we have to identify these people, which I think we've done a good job of establishing. How do we set those boundaries? Is it too late once they sink their fangs in, or what?
So here's the thing. If someone in your life is like someone you have to have, and we have to define that, meaning someone who's a big client of yours, a parent, a boss, a coworker, you have to find a way to make that relationship healthy. That means redefining.
Someone you can't just cut off.
Right. Someone you can't cut off, right?
All right.
Redefine the word healthy, which we can't have enough time to go into it today. Redefine the word, because your definition of the word healthy comes from, let's say, let's say you're an Italian family and like you go to dinner every Sunday night at your mom's house for spaghetti meatballs, but she's a narcissist or she's draining energy. You have to redefine that word, which means maybe you're Zoom calling once a month, maybe you're only seeing them once a month or once a year, that kind of thing. Then if you don't have to have them in your life, I do what's called a friend audit. I ask questions. Why are they in your life? And many times a common theme is you met someone in high school or college and they are friends because you lived together or you were in the same class. And now you're 40 years old and they're draining your energy, but you like the price. There's a price of admission to feel those feelings you had back when you were 20 or 15 years old. And you have to decide, is this price worth it? Is it really worth it for me to stay friends with this person? And you have to keep them out. You have to find a way to like get them out of your life. But if you have to have your life, again, make that relationship healthy. Now, I want to, before we get farther, when I give a problem in a book or my classes, I'm going to give you the solution. And the solution and the reason why I wrote the book, my wife wakes up one morning. I didn't tell you this whole story. We had a narcissist in our life. We didn't know she was a narcissist, but she was draining her energy. She was really, my wife was spending a lot of time with her trying to coach her. And narcissists aren't like dishwashers. You can't change the heating element and they're fine. It takes years and years of therapy, but they have to admit it. And she could admit it. And my wife wakes up one morning and says, I want to find the keepers in my life. Keeper is an acronym. You get rid of 2 E's, which is envy and ego. You don't need those people in your life, right? Narcissists have few egos. They think greatly of themselves.
Does the K stand for crazy?
It's the kino. You get rid of 2 E's. You don't want them. You're left with 4 letters. And these are the people you want in your life. You want someone who's kind. You want someone who's peaceful. You want someone who's empathetic, an empath, which means they're able to share their feelings and they're able to say, I'm sorry, I forgive you, and they're able to listen to you and also share their feelings with you. So emotionally constipated people can't do that. And this is why your friends and your spouse should be an empath. And lastly, you want someone who's respectful. So if you can find people in your life that are kind, peaceful, empathetic, and respectful, they can be your friends and they can also be your spouse. And that's the whole idea of the book, is that to recognize which. And by the way, your mom or your brother who's an emotional vampire, right? We all have relatives who have them. They probably cross different boundaries into 3 or 4 different categories. Narcissists also probably cross the 3 or 4 different, and you might even cross the one yourself. You might be a nonstop talker. You might be socially awkward. You might be drama. It's fine. They're not deadly. They're not horrible. The narcissists are pretty bad. The projectors are pretty bad. But some of them are just people we have in our life, and we want to protect our happiness, make sure that we can do everything in our life to make sure that we live happy, healthy lives. And that means sometimes protecting yourself.
Right, because I think the emotional vampire is also looking specifically, targeting, if you will, people who aren't wearing turtlenecks, people whose neck is exposed, someone who's an easy target. And those are the generous people who are optimistic, going, oh, this person, they're just going through a phase. There's no problem. And they won't set up boundaries. That kind of person is the target of an emotional vampire.
Do you know why? Because empathics love to give. And
you
narcissists love to take. And so when a narcissist, and by the way, narcissists can be very charismatic people. I have what I call NADAR. My NADAR is my radar for narcissist. When I meet a man who's 45 years old and been divorced twice, and he's charismatic, my NADAR goes up, right? And I have in my book, it's called the Narcissist Sniff Test. I ask questions if someone could be a narcissist. And one of the funny tests it's called the yawn test. Because when someone yawns, because we have what's called oxytocin, we produce oxytocin, which means we want to share things with people. And when someone doesn't produce this, they have if I yawn, you're going to yawn, everyone yawns on the table, right?
I was going to say, man, you just said the magic word on a video podcast. Now we're all going to yawn at each other.
And they don't yawn. Yeah. So that's one of the signs. There's also many other questions I ask them.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that clinical?
No, this is not, I would say this is not, I don't know if this is just an idea. It's just a thought.
Is this anecdotal or does this come from a study? Or
I know I read a study about this. Yeah. Like if you're at a table let's say at a restaurant and you drink water, everyone drinks water, right? You yawn, everyone else yawns. They have a hard time connecting that way. Another question I ask them is why did their last relationships fail? And if they avoid the question, they change the subject, or they say, "Oh, my exes were crazy," it's because they made them crazy. A healthy person will understand past relationships, and it's usually his fault, her fault, somewhere in the middle, right? And they might say it was their fault, but they'll take some blame. Narcissists don't take any blame.
Well, you know what's funny? You have no way of knowing this, and I'm not going to belabor this, but I want to hear your comments on it, because these guys have heard it before. My first marriage ended flatly, directly, because my first wife was crazy.
Okay.
I mean, schizophrenic, bipolar 1.
Oh yeah, tough.
Borderline personality disorder. And I mean, she had the holy grail. Okay. Basically what's commonly known as multiple personality disorder. They call it dissociative nowadays. So yeah, I don't think I've ever even met someone else.
That's pretty bad.
With that last piece. So it was a doomed marriage.
How old were you when you got married?
28.
Did you not know this before you got married?
There were red flags, but it was late onset, relatively.
You see, the thing is, this is what I teach. I teach people to understand these issues before you. I try to. Oh, okay, let's move on.
I understand. This was BC, before coach.
Right.
Okay, this is
before
one
coach,
of the reasons why I'm so empathetically a coach nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Or emphatically and empathetically. Everybody told me. The important part here is everybody told me after that divorce happened, and she divorced me, of course, because of everything I had going on in outer space and all the things that crazy little things. Everybody told me you couldn't have been a better father, you couldn't have been a better husband, but I still got kicked to the curb and felt terrible.
Sure.
So, and instead of feeling like a victim and becoming an emotional vampire, I said, okay, you know what? I am going to make this my fault. I'm going to do what it takes to be a better man.
Good for you.
In part, avoiding crazy women from now on and having the self-esteem not to get back into another crazy relationship, hence being divorced a second time from a crazy woman. And it worked. And it was all because I wanted to be a better man, not because, oh, poor me, I got victimized by a crazy chick. So it's funny that you would talk about this, curious that you would talk about this, because not that it exonerates me from being a narcissist, but I think that is the right way to look at it from a healthy perspective. If you're going to be a victim, then there's nothing you could have done about it. You're powerless.
Nope.
Taking your power back from hitting rock bottom like that means, what am I going to do about it? And that's why I'm here today, because I want to empower guys who've been through some rough stuff to not fall into that trap again. You wrote a piece that I want to get to before we go, and time is running short here. You are obviously, we've already covered this, you are in Israel. Israel went through a very difficult year.
Yes, extremely.
That's a euphemistic way to put it.
Yeah.
And you wrote a piece called Bomb Shelter Sex from the perspective of being Israeli.
Yeah.
In this summertime when the rockets were going back and forth. And
you'll notice in the video right now, you see where I am. I'm in a bomb shelter right now.
Right now.
I'm in my son's room. It's a bomb shelter. Every room, every property built in Israel in the last 40 years, every unit has to have a bomb shelter. And so
the reason comment on that piece real quickly.
It's funny, I wrote that, I don't know, 6-8 months ago. I don't remember exactly the piece, but the idea was that
people were every moment of every day, even attempting to be intimate or even thinking about being intimate was
impossible for 2 weeks.
Impossible because, the Maslowian hierarchy has safety way below anything that's above it in terms of relating and dating.
When we went to sleep with our phones on. For the first few days, we slept in our rooms, and then when the alarms, we get these pre-alarms. So we get a noise on our phone that you might have an alarm in 5 or 10 minutes. And when that went off, we'd be awake now, obviously. And then my daughter and I would go to the porch to watch the missiles. I have to tell you something, and it's hard to explain. And the videos don't do it justice. I was watching Space Invaders live. So I have an amazing view of Jerusalem. I have a huge sky view. I'd see interceptors come off from everywhere. Interceptors were Israeli interceptors coming from many different directions, and they look like orange tubes in the sky at night, especially. And you see them go different directions, and then you see these missiles coming in from Iran, and I can see them. And you see the explosions, and sometimes you hear the explosions 10 seconds later, and sometimes you see the explosions right over my head and hear nothing because it's in space. And you see this big blue, looked like a balloon. We had no idea. It was crazy. And then we'd hear the alarm, the actual local missile alarm go off. And my daughter's like, Daddy, I don't want to go in. It's so exciting. I gotta tell you, it was exciting, thrilling. It was amazing for my family because after the first 2 nights, we're just going to sleep in the bomb shelter. So we have 2 beds in here. And we put 2 mattresses on the floor.
I noticed you're protecting your Guild guitar too.
That's my son's guitar.
That's my son's
and
guitar.
He plays music, and we'd sleep in the bomb shelter. And the alarm would go off, we'd hear it, whatever, and we just stay asleep. And that was it. And I was like, you can't it's hard to have sex with your wife when you're sleeping with 2 kids in the room, and you're also having missiles go off a few times a night. So I wrote the piece on bomb shelter sex. But it's funny you brought that up. I don't even remember that. Idea came into my head that. There's going to be a lot of babies born 9 months after the war was over, after the ceasefire back in late June.
Because you're stuck together in the bomb shelter. But
not after the bomb, after the when the Trump forced the ceasefire in Israel, then I think a lot of people get back together and a lot of people get pregnant. And I'm sure there'll be a baby boom after 10 months after that, which will be late June, July, August, January, February, late March probably.
How is it on the ground there? Are people pretty much back to normal?
It's never not been back to normal. I have to tell you, when you have a night of missile fire and you wake up in the morning, the buses are running, the schools are open, you're going to school, you go into the coffee shop. It's like normal here. It's crazy. If I was in America, people would be like hiding in the basement. Here, it's just you wake up and you go back to your day. It was like a regular day. Yeah. You go back to your day and you're aware of it. You just make sure. I remember when the whole first Iran thing started. No, it was October 7th. On October 7th, they got attacked on a Saturday. I went to the bank on a Sunday morning, and the bank was open. and the missile alarm went off from, I guess we're getting rockets from Gaza, and everyone ran down to the bomb shelter in the bank. And I was in this bomb shelter in the middle of a big building, like a 10-story building. And I was terrified. I wasn't terrified of the missile. I'm terrified of being buried alive. Like, I'm not going back in a bomb shelter in this giant building. I'd rather go in the street and take a shot, like hanging under under something else. Like, I didn't like the fact that that's my biggest fear in life, being buried in the building. So I didn't do that again. But just go into your life. It's a regular thing here, and everyone's carrying guns, and everyone's got, everyone's carrying weapons here.
Well, everybody has military experience.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's and everyone here is family. We're all family. We're all Jew. We're all the same family.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah.
There's a lot of meaning and purpose here, I have to tell you. It's a lot of you know what you're living for. It's different in America. It's a melting pot. America is great. I love America. I'm American. I go back all the time for work. But living here is really a meaningful thing for me.
Well, it's faith-based.
Yeah. And also, I can tell you, when I was in America, if I stayed in America, there's no chance I'd have written 8 different books. But my ninth is about to come out after Emotional Vampire. I have another one called When Botox Met Bezos. So that, and that's when low self-esteem, narcissism, and massive wealth collide.
That's a provocative title.
Oh, it's a great title. One of the chapters is called Cleavage and Catnip.
We'll have to have you back on when that comes out.
Yeah, no, it's really a good book. If you like my article on bomb shelter sex, you're going to love this book. It's out of control.
Can't wait.
But Emotional Vampire is really good too.
Yeah, I can't wait to have you on and talk about it.
Yeah.
For now, I want to send these guys not only to Amazon.com. Let's make that mountaintoppodcast.com/Amazon so they can scoop up a copy of your book. And the full name of it is Emotional Vampires: How to Protect Your Happiness from People Who Suck You Dry.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the good way of sucking one dry, which I think probably speaks for itself, which is
we don't have to talk about it. I think people understand that already.
Well, people would rather hear that from a female sex coach with a sexy Eastern European accent anyway.
I have to tell you something.
We have several.
I have a class. I don't have a book on it. It's actually a chapter in my next book, my Bezos book. It's called Kosher Climax.
Nice.
It's about sex in the bedroom, and it starts well before the bedroom. I talk about how to make the kitchen, the elevator, your living room, places where it builds up the passion of the relationship. One of my lines is like, the kitchen isn't just a place for mixing, it's a place of transition where you're itching for the missionary position.
And many more, actually. I have a book that's on a similar theme called Cook for Your Date. And I think probably one of the best things about cooking for someone, and you understand this from your tradition, is that breaking bread together and eating together, it builds a bond. It makes a connection.
Oh, the kitchen is the best place for
to somebody.
The kitchen is amazing place for friendship.
If you can cook with her, that's pretty horny. But after dinner, and I said this on my David D'Angelo interview back in February 2007. And uncharacteristically made Eben Pagan, aka David D, laugh out loud, which he rarely did ever. He was very serious, like this. And I said, here's what you do after you're done eating. You don't try to put the moves on her. You don't try to slip a movie in. You go and you do the dishes.
Oh, they love that. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. The water flinging and whacking on the tail with a wooden, it'll turn into the horniest thing ever. It's instant foreplay to do dishes together.
They love it.
Because it's collaboration and there's water involved. Oh yeah.
It's called taking responsibility. I'm not going to get into it. We can talk hours about this, but it's about men taking responsibility. Women love that. They love men who take responsibility when they're not being asked.
Yes. Well, also, it's very horny to do that together. And I really, for probably somewhat subjective, inexplicable reasons, water and whacking each other with a wire whisk and stuff like that is just instant.
Do you know why?
Horniness.
Because as Mae West says, sex is emotion in motion made better with a little bit of lotion. Because that's what sex is. It's an emotional thing. And when your husband's doing dishes, she's more emotionally connected to you.
I agree on all fronts.
Yeah.
When they go to mountaintoppodcast.com.
Yes.
Also, you have another book. It's called Sunscreen Love: The 4 Phases to Find the Love You Want and Never Feel Unloved Again.
One's on dating and marriage, and one is on how to make and one is on self-esteem. It's strategies and symptoms of low self-esteem.
Yes. 2 separate books.
2 separate books, and then now Emotional Vampires.
Okay. And then from Botox to Bezos.
That's coming out next
Interestingly,
year.
will come out on Amazon at some point.
Sometime it's going
Appropriately
to.
enough,
Yes.
yeah.
I have 5 other books, but I took them. I think I took them down because my writing has gotten to be so much better in the last. I started writing 5 years ago, and I wasn't.
That's a thing. Yeah.
And it's gotten much better and much more engaging. I get to the point, and I'm also very good about going from one topic to the other and transitioning better and bringing old topics in and much funnier. And so I just took them off. I just took them off.
Same for me. Yeah.
So I
hear
have
you.
these 3 books, and they're getting better and better and better. And I have more planned, many more books planned.
Sunscreen Love, the 4 phases to find love you want and
Yep.
never feel unloved again. Symptoms and strategies to cure low self-esteem. You can cure
Yes.
low self-esteem too.
Yeah.
And it's when you're just laying around the house and eating bread and breaking bread together, as well as the upcoming book, which is released now, correct?
January 13th, 2026.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be as we record this, I think you're about the time that book is released is when this
Right.
particular podcast will go live, which is excellent. Sure. Emotional Vampires: How to Protect Your Happiness from People Who Suck Yours Dry. And you know what? This is great because these guys will be among the first to get a copy of it.
That's right.
Preview of it. It's a very funny book and an easy read and a quick read.
Yeah. And just so you know, I speak a lot. That's one of my skills is speaking. I love speaking. I enjoy it, and I don't charge. I mean, so far I was in Long Island. That's 3 weeks ago. I was in Orlando this past summer. I was in New York. I've been in Miami. And if you get enough people together and I can get there, maybe just pay my local expenses, I'm happy to speak on any of these topics, especially, relationships. And my talks are pretty engaging and fun.
Excellent. And
yeah,
that leads me to the last point here, which is when they go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Ratner, RATNER, they'll be magically teleported to what's actually www.coachratner.com.
Yeah, that's my website.
Daniel, what will they find there?
They will find links to my podcast, the Coach Ratner podcast. And they'll also find links to the books, and they'll find links to all my classes that I have. I have classes on spirituality, I have classes on relationships, and classes actually on business development and public speaking. And then that's basically it.
Fantastic.
And that can be found if they want to comment, coachratner@gmail.com. I try to answer everyone's emails.
Yep. Man, you and I are on the same page about a lot of things. That's mountaintoppodcast.com/Ratner. Daniel Ratner, thank you so much for joining us.
It was great. Wow, what a fun time.
The most fun I've ever had talking about emotional vampires, that's for sure. Yeah. Good stuff. And we will definitely have you on to talk about the upcoming book. Yeah.
When Botox meets Bezos.
Yes. Yeah. Botox meets Bezos.
Yes. Yeah. It's a handful.
That's better than the Bosox meet Bozos.
Well, I have
That's what happens when the Orioles play them, unfortunately.
I actually have a chapter called Bozo Lips, Nose Nips, Stretchy Face, Chasing Grace.
Very good. Very good.
I have a lot of good titles. That's one of my gifts. God gave me a gift to come up with really good, interesting titles.
Hey, marketing and branding. Good stuff. Daniel Ratner from Jerusalem. Thank you so much, man. We'll have you back.
It's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And guys, if you haven't been to mountaintoppodcast.com lately, check out our 3 longtime sponsors. The guys at Hero Soap have shampoo and conditioner now. So you long-haired hippie type guys, you don't have to use the chick stuff anymore if you want to keep your hair under control. Always smell good. None of the stuff that's going to, feminize your receptors and all that crazy stuff. Hero Soap, a portion of it always goes to wounded veterans too, which is good stuff. Also the Keyport titanium stuff from Keyport now. I got mine. It is amazing. Not only is it going to help you have an everyday carry item that has all the tools you really need on it, now it's like half the weight. So you can almost forget it's in your pocket. It's amazing stuff. And also, of course, our longtime sponsor, Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine. Brand new hoodies, brand new jeans, the kind of jeans you can get rough and tumbling into a bar fight with. Nobody else is making this stuff. I just think everything Origin does is so manly. I mean, you're not going to go get in bar fights, but we as men love to know we could in the jeans we're wearing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's one of the reasons of many that Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, is just so amazing. And I wear my boots, they're bison boots. I mean, how cool is that? I wear them every chance I could get. And all of our sponsors, you can use the same coupon code with, which is Mountain10 at checkout to get 10% off. And guys, I'm always here for you. You can go to mountaintoppodcast.com, get on my calendar, talk to me about what's on your mind. No pressure. If you just want to give some feedback on the podcast, that's cool. And there are lots of new goodies. Guys, some of you haven't tried out Vominos yet, which is the AI on which everything ever done by XMY Communications is stored, walled off from the rest of the internet. When you ask it questions, for better or worse, it answers like I would. And, you know, the loosely guarded secret around here is that I actually consult Vominos myself sometimes when I'm writing or I'm going to do a speaking engagement or be on someone else's podcast and I know the topic is going to be a certain thing. I ask Vominos what I've said about that, and sometimes it reminds me of things that slip my own mind. That's how powerful a tool Vominos is. When you can't call me, when you can't email me, and you need answers at 2:00 in the morning when the bar is closing, Vominos. That's the way to do it. Go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Vominos, or just go to mountaintoppodcast.com and click the link. Exciting stuff. And more guys are using it, and there's more really cool functions that are coming up, and you'll be first in line for those when they come up. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from XMY Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.